take a look at inserting, updating, and removing records. Up to this point, we've just been reading data from the database. So we already know how to create or insert data, right? We already created it. Actually, no, we wrote it, but we never tried it out. So let's try it out. So let's see. In here, in our server, we're going to use this create user. We never used it. So let's create a brand new user. Let's see how many users we have so far. We have Tim, Ada, John, and Jane. All right. So let's create a new student. Maybe Bob. All right. So let's create Bob in there. So let's in here, what we'll do is that we'll use a dot create user, and this takes as argument a JSON array, a JSON object. So this is might take things such as maybe a username, Bob, and then maybe a first name, Bob, and last name, Hope. Okay, and again, this also returns a promise, right? So we could say then, and this would return the actual user, right? And then we can spit out and console log the user. All right, so let's run that. And there it is. So Bob was inserted. Notice that the date of hire was created, right? Because that was the default value was date.now. And if we go to Mongo client, we retrieve the users. Notice that Bob is now have been added to the collection. So that works fine. We can also update a user. We can say that we want to update the ID. We want to modify maybe the user. Notice that we have set. We're using the same exact syntax that we use in the Mongo client, right? The $set. But typically in the $set, we take as argument the fields that we want to update, right? But here we're taking the user object, right? What is that? Well, the user object presumably is going to be a JSON representation of the new user or the new values for the user. So the actual fields that are updated is whatever fields we pass in the user object, right? If we pass the first name, we'll update the first name. If we pass the last name, we'll update the last name. Or any combination of fields will be updated, right? Because this already is a JSON object that contains a name-value pair of the fields, values, of the ones that we're updating. So it's very convenient, right? So let's grab that. Let's implement that. Let's add that to our DAO. And let's update, add it here. There it is. And it takes as argument the user ID plus followed by the new data for the new object, right? So let's make that available. And let's try it out. So let's change the name of Bob. All right, let's change it. Instead of create Bob, let's update it, and let's change its his name. So Bob, that's the ID for Bob. Let's change that, and let's change it to Paul Muad'Dib, whatever that is. So let's run that, and it came back with a status of how many records were updated. So notice that this one, all the other ones return the actual object, right? This one just returned a status, meaning how many records were updated, whether it was successful or not and whatnot. And if we go and show this, notice that indeed Bob's first name was changed to Paul Muad'Dib. Okay, and deleting is fairly simple, right? Let's implement that. This is going to take as argument the ID of the user. Let's go to the DAO. And let's expose that. It takes an ID, and then it uses that as a filter on which record you're actually removing. And we can play around with that by using this example. And this one, too, also returns just the status of, copy. and we'll remove Paul. And let's rerun that, and we can verify that Paul is no longer there. Okay? All right, let's take a look at many-to-many.